Welcome back to Nigeria, the road to 2019. I'm Charles Inekogu. Now, his high-level, issue-driven campaign, not to mention his rousing town hall meetings, the books he's written, his newspaper columns, and his radio and television command appearances have brought Kingsley Moghalu to the attention of millions of Nigerians. His recent performance at the presidential debate, for which he garnered the biggest and the highest approval ratings out of those who took part, has boosted his name recognition tremendously. Despite the fact that he has never held any elective office, a broad church of analysts and observers seem to agree that his grasp of Nigeria's current political, economic and social travails and the clear solutions he is offering to fix them have made him among the most progressive voices of this 2019 election campaign and indeed of his generation. But is it enough to deliver his ambitious quest to become the president of Nigeria? Well, let's speak to the man himself, Kingsley Moghalu, political economist, professor of international business and public policy, former United Nations senior official, former deputy governor of the Nigerian Central Bank, and currently presidential candidate for the Young Progressive Party. And Kingsley joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles.
Good to see that you still don't have any hair. I thought after the election, after the challenges of the campaign, I would have seen things sprouting there.
No, not at all.
Well, let's start with that presidential debate on Saturday. A poll conducted by, I think, Vanguard newspaper suggested you had been voted the winner by 58%. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm honored that many Nigerians unanimously agree that I came out of the debate as the clear winner by a wide margin. Polls conducted by Business Day as well, polls conducted by Stern's Business, and many other polls, all have given me the lead. And so I think the debate did something very important. The ground has shifted, clearly. Nigerians can see now that we have an alternative to the APC and their fake change and the PDP and their Bureau de change. And I think,
like that.
Yes, and I think it's very obvious that a vote for any of those two parties is a wasted vote. Because if you vote for APC or PDP, you're wasting your vote, because nothing that will happen in the next 4 years will change your life for the better. And that's my definition of wasting your vote. But if you vote for Kingsley Moghalu and the YPP, a foundational repositioning of Nigeria and our economy and the place of our youth in the country and the world today will begin to take place. So I think things are becoming clearer. In the last 2 days, hundreds of thousands of messages are coming in. We are with you. We have shifted to your column. Whether we're the APC or the PDP, we are moving to YPP. You've given us a reason, they say, to hope again. You've given us what a president should look like and sound like. So that is, the outcome of the debate has been a good thing for the 2019 elections. And, of course, perhaps one of the most important things, the absence from the debate of President Buhari and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has sent Nigerians the final proof, as if they needed any, that these old recycled politicians do not care about you and me.
Right. So
they're
clearly
all about themselves.
Right. So clearly, after the response to your performance of that at that presidential debate, your hopes have risen volcanically. Let's put it that way.
Well, when I started this journey, when I announced that I was running for president in February 2018, many people had a lot of hope and were encouraged by that someone like me came out. Many people were also amused. Today, they are no longer amused, because from nowhere politically, today I am indisputably, my candidacy and the YPP, our political party, we are the third force in Nigerian politics today. And the question is how we will overtake the APC and the PDP and emerge. I have no doubt that I will be sworn in as the president of Nigeria on the 29th of May, 2019.
Well,
no question in my mind about it.
Sure. Well, that could be clear in your mind, but it's not clear in the minds of a lot of other Nigerians, including myself, because I can't see the future. Although certainly assessing the work that you've done or that you're doing, I think you've got a good shot at it, like quite a few other people.
That's right.
But you've been at this campaign now, you said, since February 2018.
Yes, 1 year.
Is the challenge of getting your message across getting easier or more difficult, given that all the other parties have also stepped up their game as the election gets closer?
It's actually gotten easier. It's gotten easier by, for a number of reasons, including the debate, which was watched by, I don't have the exact figures, the official result of the poll, actually, by channels, has also come out today. And again, I won by a very wide margin. So millions, tens of millions of Nigerians watched that debate and made their choice, clearly. So it has made easier putting our message across. And of course, the APC and the PDP have scored a very massive own goal by avoiding the debate. So I think the things we have been talking about for several months are becoming clearer to a lot of people.
And to a large extent, that campaign of yours has been aimed at focusing attention on the problems of this country
and how to solve
and
them.
Offering solutions
Absolutely.
to them. What tops the agenda of those problems, and what will you tackle first if you become president? What will top the pack in your in-tray?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, as I said at the debate, the first question to answer is Nigeria a nation, really? You see, if you don't build a nation, there's nothing else to talk about. That means securing this country. The lives and property of our citizens must be job number one, because it is the most important duty of any government to secure our lives and property. The question of constitutional restructuring has to be tackled. We have to work with our women as equal partners, and we have to bring our youth to the table as leaders of today and not tomorrow.
Yeah, but is that the priority for the man and woman on the streets who is jobless and hungry and will say exactly the same thing to you that they're saying to the APC right now? You've been in power for 3.5 years.
Yes.
You promised you were going to put food on my table.
Sure.
I don't see any food on that table.
Of course we'll put
Whilst
food.
you're talking about restructuring and all the other things,
you see,
I'm hungry.
The problem with Nigeria, one of the problems in this country, is that we are wedded to very short-term solutions, and that's why this country has
but it's not
been
unique
fixed.
to Nigeria. I mean, you've traveled internationally.
Well, you see,
all
Charles,
voters hold their politicians to short-term gains.
Of course, there will be short-term gains. I mean, no question about it. We're going to immediately launch into economic reform. Immediately I take office, no question about it. But the first thing I will do as president, within 48 hours, I will announce my cabinet and send them to the National Assembly. I will be the first president since 1999 to send a cabinet list to the National Assembly with their portfolios. So we're going to hit the ground running, addressing issues of jobs and unemployment and skills. We will establish the 1 trillion naira venture capital fund that I've talked about. And we're going to begin to move into the question of skills, providing skills centers, training centers in each of the 774 local government areas. So yes, bread and butter short-term issues will be tackled immediately, alongside foundational issues that will make our progress sustainable. No question in my mind about that.
Now, you've obviously been assessing, and I think you touched on some of that earlier, the strengths and weaknesses of your opponents, most notably the APC and the PDP, because clearly you see yourself now as a credible third force and as a challenge to those two.
The credible.
Right. How do you rate your chances in relation to them? And what is your strength to their weaknesses?
Well, I mean, I think the chances I have of winning the presidency are galloping by the day. And APC and PDP are both at this point uninstalling. They've uninstalled 60% in my view, and by the end of the elections, they would have been completely uninstalled 100%. And so my strength is the message that I bring. and the credibility that is backing that message, the performance track record that is backing that message, the fact that I've never been a politician in this country before, therefore I don't have their political baggage. People see something new, something different, something bold in my message. And that message is this: this country on current trends is going nowhere except we retire the old, visionless, incompetent, and unproductive politicians that have led this country and, you know, are represented very well in the APC and the PDP. Except we take that fundamental step, our hopes are hoping in vain. That's the point. If you want to solve a problem, you cannot say that, I think it was Albert Einstein that said, you can't solve a problem by thinking at the level that created the problem. You must rise above the problem to solve it. The problem cannot solve itself. APC and PDP are two faces of one big problem we have in this country. Therefore, the solution cannot be found within either of those two parties. The solution is in a paradigm shift to something else outside that framework, and that's the YPP.
Right, but that's the message that you're putting across. But is that message getting through to enough people?
It is.
Because what I want to ask you is, what are the particular hurdles that you face now ahead of the elections, which is just over 3 weeks away?
Oh, yes. Well, of course, let me tell you the main hurdle, which is poverty.
Right.
The poverty. These guys have impoverished Nigerians and are using that poverty to try to keep them beholden to them as slaves forever. And that's what I said at the debate, you know. These people have us in bondage. We're living in bondage. It is time for us to break out of bondage. But you can't break out of bondage if you yourself do not make the decision to break out of bondage. You see what I'm saying? So, but they're using poverty to prevent that from happening.
And that's working against you, is that right? Well, that's a hurdle that you've got to face.
Yes, but we are educating Nigerians now. And what I'm telling them is this: they give you 1,500 naira, they give you 2,000 naira, 3 bottles of beer and 1 nkwobi. Is that all you are worth? Are you the child of a lesser God? Tell me. And when you put it that way to people, how cheap they have sold themselves, how much they have dehumanized themselves. But they begin to question.
Right. I mean, from what I understand, the strategy that has always been, I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but what they've always done in this country is say, well, here are those 3 bottles of beer. Here's that nkwobi.
Yes.
Here's whatever else it is, you know, the bag of rice or whatever.
Yeah.
Have that for your meal over the next few days and vote for me and there'll be more.
But what is happening is that many people will take that 3 bottles of beer and nkwobi and vote for their conscience. That's where the shock is going to come. Because they have come to recognize that 3 bottles of beer and nkwobi doesn't get your son a job. He's out of university for 5 years, no job. Your daughter has been out of school for many years, no job. And this thing you will eat in one day doesn't solve that problem. Perhaps you might begin to look at those who have a solution to your real problems.
But what is your strategy in places like the far rural north, for example, where you don't speak the language, you have no ethnic or religious commonality with the people, and the APC and the PDP set the tone by pulling in massive crowds who relate to Buhari and Atiku because they've got instant name recognition and are from the region? I mean, how do you counter that? Presumably you've been to some of those far northern states.
Of course. I mean, look, you know, I mean, this game is a game of attrition. You keep at it. You just keep at
chipping
it.
At the old
you keep
block.
chipping at it. Consistency is important. And the ground is very fertile because many of those people in the far rural north are beginning to realize that their deification or worship of people like Buhari and Atiku has gotten them nothing.
Yeah, but your message, is it getting through to them?
Because
you don't speak, you speak English.
Listen,
you don't speak their language.
But I'm not the only one in the Kingsley Moghalu campaign.
No,
I mean,
I understand that,
I have a vice presidential candidate who's
because many of them, they don't even have television sets. And if
but
they
radio,
do,
but
they don't have electricity to watch television.
We are on radio a lot in the north. we are communicating to people in the North on radio constantly. That's what a lot of people don't realize. So my campaign has many people in the campaign who are from the North and who speak Hausa and Fulfulde, whatever language, very well. And these people are communicating to those people in that language. And they can see it very clearly. So you must not, after all, those who are campaigning in the Southeast, Buhari and Atiku, they don't speak Igbo. But are they not sending their message to people in the Southeast?
Yeah, but they have structures in place. They've got
they've
got governorship. They've got governors. They've got local government chairmen. They've
democratic revolutions.
They've got members of the National Assembly. They've got ministers.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
We have 300 candidates up and down the ballot. Several of them will be elected to governorships, senatorial positions, and so on. We're a new party. We're 1 year old. Political revolutions always happen when you least expect them. The Berlin Wall, when it fell, nobody expected that to happen. Slavery ended. Colonialism ended. Apartheid ended. The reign of Nigeria's recycled, incompetent politicians will end in February 2019.
But of course, for that to end,
yes,
you have to hope that the elections will be free and fair.
Yes.
And historically in this country, certainly from 1999, the majority of those elections, including the ones that have been observed, all of them in fact, observed by international observers, the verdict has always been, apart from the one in 2015, that they were not free and fair. In fact, Buhari himself went to court for every single election he went to court.
That's true. The best laid plans
Right.
of mice and men will fail our oppressors.
Yeah, but what about the question I was going to ask you is,
people are going to rise up and stand and protect their vote.
Well,
that's what's going to happen.
What I
That's
want to
going
ask
be
you
different.
is what about the conduct
Yes.
of the election and the Electoral Commission charged with that task?
That's right.
Do you first of all think that the Commission
Yes.
has the intention of conducting a free and fair election, and secondly, that they have the capacity to conduct a credible election?
Yes. First of all, on the intention, they have spoken publicly about having such an intention. Fine, but we'll have to test it. Now, as to capacity, that is where I have an even bigger problem. So Nigeria is a big place. Logistics and operational efficiency have never been a strong forte for Nigerian public institutions. And so we have our concerns and our worries. And even when you talk about intention, we are worried by the presence of people who are believed to be related to the political leadership. And you cannot tell me that those people are just going to kind of, just lay over and watch. So we have problems both with intent and capacity. But we will have to also keep an open mind while we prepare to protect our own votes.
But what about your own capacity
Yes.
to even monitor that vote?
We have that capacity, and
because
let me tell
there
you,
are thousands
Charles,
of polling booths
Yes.
across the country.
Charles, the YPP will
Right.
have polling agents in the more than 120,000 polling booths in this country.
Right.
That's why I tell you the YPP is a movement. It's not, it's a grassroots party, and we're spread all over the country, and we're going to have our polling agents watching over our votes. That's for sure. We are not joking with that at all, and it's going to happen. That's why I say that, when you look at the alternative space, the YPP is the strongest and the most credible because we are a real party. We're not a briefcase party. We're not a special purpose vehicle for anybody's presidential ambition. We're not an internet party. We're a party on the ground with real people.
Now, you've heard those allegations. You heard me talking to the spokesman for the CUPP,
Yes.
the PDP coalition earlier. You heard those allegations from the Information Minister, Lai Mohammed, of an alleged plot by opposition parties, and presumably that includes your party, to work with Boko Haram insurgents
So let
and
me be
unarmed bandits to create chaos at the election and presumably to gain some political advantage from it.
Charles,
What's your reaction? I mean, has it left you sort of scratching your head?
Yes, indeed. Charles, I'm laughing in English, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa. I mean, you can't, let me be very clear. They could not, and they never were referring to YPP.
Right.
Let's be very clear. They are referring to the CUPP, which is the PDP-led opposition.
Because they see them as the threat.
Because they see them as their cousins.
I like that.
Yes, they've all grown up. They've all grown up together, and they play the same games and the same tricks. So
I like that. That's brilliant.
So they know themselves.
Not that they're a threat, but that they're all relatives.
Exactly.
They're all bedfellows.
They're all bedfellows. So they play the same game.
I mean, not me saying that. It's you saying that.
It's me saying
obvious.
it. So that's why I tell you that's the people they're referring to, because they know the YPP doesn't have the capacity for that type of mischief, and of course doesn't have that kind of intention. But we look at these things and say, look, cry the beloved country. We have a situation where two presidential candidates boycotted a formal institutionalized debate where they could come and explain to the Nigerian people either their performance track record or their vision, and they reduced it to themselves. It tells you how little regard they have for the people of Nigeria.
Well, that's certainly
and how challenged our democracy is as a result. That's why I'm telling you that what is going to happen in February is not going to be a normal election. It is going to be a people's democratic revolution that will take place. And nobody, no amount of force, no amount of cant and humbug will stop it.
And you're not concerned enough. I mean, you clearly are confident.
Yes.
Not just in yourself, but in the conduct of the elections. You're not worried that all these...
I'm not saying that the elections are going to be free and fair.
Right.
I am saying I hope they will be free and fair.
Because all these allegations...
protecting our vote.
Right. All these allegations and threats that seem to be increasing in intensity with now talk of terrorism.
Yes.
I mean, it all seems...
It speaks of desperation.
Well, it seems worrying.
Yes.
Perhaps even frightening.
Yes.
Because of its unpredictability.
Yes, absolutely.
And its precipitate nature.
That's right.
And the doubts that it raises about what might happen at those elections.
Yes, indeed. Certainly. I mean, it is very worrying. And I myself have issued statements about the desperation of the present government of Muhammadu Buhari to cling on to power. It's very obvious that it's a dictatorship that we're living in right now. No question in my mind about it. And it's a very dangerous time to be alive in Nigeria, and not to talk about all those innocent Nigerians who've been killed by Boko Haram and the bandits in Zamfara and the herdsmen, marauding across the Middle Belt. So this country is now in a Hobbesian state of nature where life is short, nasty, and brutish because our leaders have failed to protect our lives. That's their number one duty under the Constitution. And the present government of Muhammadu Buhari has failed, and for that reason, if not for any other reason, it must be removed.
Now, your final message, because we've got literally a minute to go.
Yes, absolutely. My message to Nigerians is I had the courage to come out and take a stand on behalf of our countrymen and women. I'm asking our Nigerians, I'm asking everybody to have the same kind of courage when you go to vote. Do not allow yourself to be mentally enslaved anymore by the APC and the PDP. Don't say that Kingsley Moghalu would be a good president, but will he win? If you vote for me, if enough millions of you vote for me, I will win. That's how it works in a democracy. The power is yours and nobody else's. Use it and create a much better future for our children in this country.
Kingsley Moghalu, presidential candidate for the Young Progressive Party. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Charles. Yeah.
Well, that's it for this edition of Nigeria, the Road to 2019. Join us again for a fresh edition tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching. Brilliant.